Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Today we are stepping away from the jungles and the crash sites to look into the mirror, and what's looking back isn't pretty. In the late 60s, the Bay Area was a playground for the Zodiac. He mocked the police, he sent ciphers that baffled the best, but across the country and the windowless halls of Langley, the agency's behavioral scientists weren't just reading the headlines, they were taking notes. They were building a special profile. They wanted to know, is this a man or is this a product? The CIA doesn't usually care about local murders unless, of course, the murderer starts acting like an intelligence officer. In the early 1970s, the CIA's Office of Medical Services, OMS, maintained a secret unit of psychiatrists and psychologists who developed indirect assessment techniques to profile foreign leaders. They applied these same methods to the Zodiac letters. A quote from a declassified internal behavioral analysis memo. The subject displays a high degree of familiarity with cryptographic structure and psychological warfare tactics. His desire for public recognition suggests a background in institutional or military propaganda. End quote. The agency's interest peaked because the Zodiac ciphers used symbols found in 13th century code books that were primarily housed in university libraries with government research contracts. The Zodiac memo noted that the killer's use of a crosshair symbol was eerily similar to the coordinate mapping symbols used by the agency's own aerial reconnaissance teams. CIA files show they cross-referenced the Zodiac's handwriting with personnel who had failed out of the agency's technical surveillance training school. The agency's study on the 1947 Black Dahlia, Elizabeth Short, was rediscovered in a folder marked Early Behavioral Anomalies. A quote from a CIA Psychological Strategy Board dated 1952. The Short case represents a unique study in public hysteria and the potential for signature crimes to distract civil authorities from high-level state security breaches. End quote. The agency examined the bisected nature of Elizabeth Short's body to determine if the surgical precision matched techniques taught to battlefield surgeons in the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS. The Zodiac used a split cipher method where different parts of the code were sent to different newspapers, a classic compartmentalization strategy used in clandestine operations. Internal memos suggest the CIA's interest in serial killers was part of Project MKUltra, specifically looking for how spontaneous violence could be triggered through mass media stimuli. The agency reportedly consulted with the code breakers at the NSA to see if the Zodiac's Z320 cipher contained a hidden agency routing code. Elizabeth Short's missing weeks before her death were analyzed for patterns of drug-induced amnesia, a key focus of early CIA mind control research. A 1969 CIA field report mentions a Zodiac imitation threat made against a U.S. embassy in Europe, suggesting the killer's brand had international intelligence reach. The agency's Project Artichoke researchers studied the Dahlia murders to see if post-mortem posturing could be used as a psychological weapon to demoralize enemy populations. In 1955, agency document specialists analyzed the Black Dahlia Avenger letters, comparing the cutout magazine letters to the clandestine communication manuals used by Soviet deep cover agents. CIA files reveal a linguistic fingerprint study of the Zodiac syntax, concluding that the killer likely spoke a second European language potentially German or French. The Office of Technical Services, OTS, examined the specific type of ink and paper used by the Zodiac, noting it was a standard issue stock found in military post exchanges during the mid to late 60s. A quote from a declassified CIA counterintelligence memo dated 1974. The subject's ability to evade local law enforcement suggests more than luck. It indicates a disciplined adherence to tradecraft, the art of being invisible in plain sight, end quote. Agency behavioralists suggested the Zodiac was utilizing controlled schizophrenia, a theoretical state of mind the CIA was exploring to create agents who could compartmentalize their own memories. If you get your hands on the OMS Zodiac file, there is a page that is almost entirely black. The heaviest redactions appear under the header Suspect 7-A. A theory that keeps the light on at night is that Subject 7-A wasn't a civilian. Speculation suggests the black bars hide a training log that the Zodiac was an agency asset who went rogue after a brainwashing session, and the bars cover the correction failed notes. Whispers in the dark corners of the internet suggest the black bars hide the Dahlia connection. Speculation holds that Elizabeth Short was the daughter of a high-ranking agency official, and the redactions cover the bloodline protection protocols that kept the killer from being caught. Some believe the redactions in the cipher key section hide the real target. Speculation suggests that the Zodiac letters weren't meant for the public, but were dead drops for an agency operative, and the black bars hide the message-decoded transcripts. Could the black bars hide the Manchurian Candidate? One theory suggests the Zodiac was a test run for a media-driven assassin. Speculation is that the redactions cover the frequency of attack orders, literally scheduling the murders to coincide with specific news cycles. Some believe the redactions hide the Masonic link. The theory is that the agency was tracking a secret society within its own ranks that used the Zodiac symbol, and the black bars hide the Brotherhood roster. There is a theory that the black bars hide the ritual analysis hide, the astrological weapon. Speculation suggests the CIA believed the Zodiac was using star alignment to enhance the fear energy of the murders, and the bars hide the quantum observation logs. Some speculate the redactions hide the double agent. The theory is that the Zodiac was actually a Soviet plant meant to prove that American police were incompetent, and the bars hide the KGB handoff photos. Whispers claim the black bars hide the first AI. A wild theory suggests the Zodiac ciphers were generated by an early agency supercomputer to test a non-human language, and the redactions cover the algorithm's success rates. Some speculate the redactions hide the Dahlia witness. The theory is that Elizabeth Short saw something at a Hollywood party involving a future CIA director, and the black bars hide the silencing order. Finally, some speculate the redactions hide the exit protocol. The theory is that the agency helped the Zodiac escape to a safe house in Langley, where he spent the rest of his life writing ciphers for the government, and the black bars hide his pension plan. The heaviest redactions in the MK Ultra crossover files led to a spine-chilling theory. Speculation suggests the Zodiac was an experimental, broad-spectrum mind control subject. The black bars, according to this theory, aren't names. They are broadcast frequencies used to trigger the killer via high-altitude radio transmissions. Some investigators whisper that the black bars in the Dahlia file hide the plastic surgeon. The speculation is that Elizabeth Short was the victim of a face-swapping experiment for deep-cover spies, and the redactions cover the skin graft rejection logs. There's a theory that the cryptic killer files hide the origin of voice-to-skull technology. Speculation suggests the Zodiac heard voices because the agency was beaming commands into his inner ear, and the black bars hide the microwave transmission blueprints. Some speculate the redactions in the Zodiac handwriting analysis hide the genetic match. The theory is that the killer was a clone of a high-ranking politician, and the black bars are the DNA sequencing charts that would prove the lineage. Finally, some speculate the black bars hide the Zodiac satellite. The theory is that the killer's ciphers were actually tracking commands for a secret orbital weapon, and the redactions cover the laser targeting coordinates. Was the agency's profiling of these killers a success? As a public safety mission, it was a failure. Neither the Zodiac nor the Dahlia killer were caught using these files. However, as a behavioral laboratory, it was a massive success. The agency learned how to map a criminal mind from a distance, a technique they would later use to track terrorists and world leaders across the globe. The hunt for the cryptic killer left its mark on the CIA's toolbox as well. As far as operational breakthroughs go, indirect psychological profiling. The OMS perfected the art of building a personality map using only letters and crime scenes. Mass hysteria metrics. The agency developed ways to measure how much a population's behavior changes based on high-profile fear events. Symbolic cryptography. Analysis of the Zodiac ciphers led to new visual encryption methods that were harder for computers to crack. Cold case intelligence. The Dahlia study taught the agency how to mine decades-old police records for clues about deep state vulnerabilities. The Zodiac warhood. Elizabeth Short was left in a vacant lot, but the agency saw something else. They saw the art of the distraction. Thanks for listening to this episode. Be sure to tune in next time. We're going to look at Operation Splinter Factor. In the late 1950s, the agency didn't use bombs to take down Poland. They used the big lie. We'll uncover how the CIA sowed discord within the Polish Communist Party, turning friends into traitors and allies into enemies through a web of forged documents. It's a masterclass in the internal collapse. Join us for The Broken Party. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.